This is Dan Fornick with Player Profiler, and today I'm here to break down the top offensive line landing spots, some of my favorites from the 2024 draft class. One of my favorite spots was Olu Fashanu, the left tackle from Penn State, landing with the Jets at pick 11. He was considered by many to be a top 10 pick in 2023 before he decided to go back to Penn State, and ultimately he lands just outside the top 10. In fairness, the Jets traded back from 10 to land him. Since 2021, he allowed 0 sacks and 16 pressures playing as the left tackle at Penn State. He's an excellent athlete, and that shows up frequently in pass protection. He does have some development issues as a run blocker, and those are things that can be cleaned up with technique. He could contribute at guard next year. He's likely to not play at tackle given the acquisition of Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses by the Jets this offseason, but at the very least they have time to develop him, and he's excellent injury insurance for two tackles who frequently are injured. So we could see him as early as week 1 at guard, or we could see him down the road if an injury happens. I also love the pick of Graham Barton to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with pick 26. He played the last 3 years at Duke as a left tackle, but he did start at center as a freshman. He's most likely to kick inside at the NFL level. For a lot of people, he was seen as the top center in this class, even though he has 3 years of film at left tackle. He did allow 10 sacks and 27 pressures since 2021, but there were some issues. He's not exactly your prototypical size at left tackle, and he also has shorter arms, which is why he's going to be kicking inside at the NFL level. But he's an excellent athlete. He's got great short area quickness. He fits best as a zone blocker. He's most likely to replace Ryan Jensen, who retired ahead of the 2023 season due to a knee issue, and he'll be a plug-and-play center and probably a player they don't have to worry about for many years. One team that got excellent value was the Las Vegas Raiders at pick 44 with Jackson Powers Johnson. He has excellent size, excellent athleticism. For many, he was seen as a day one pick. There are some rumors that he slid a little bit due to some medical concerns, but obviously not enough to knock him out of the top 50. He only started 1 year at college with Oregon, but it was a pretty good year because he won the Remington Award for the top center in college football. He also went to the Senior Bowl and dominated that as well. During his time at Oregon, he had just over 1,300 pass pro snaps. He allowed just 3 pressures and 0 sacks in his career. Why I like this move best is because he does have the flexibility to play guard, and the Raiders were slated to start Cody Whitehair at left guard. So now it's going to be Jackson Powers Johnson, and that offensive line continues to build and be a strength for Antonio Pearson's run-heavy offense. A later pick that I loved was the Dallas Cowboys targeting Cooper Beebe from Kansas State at pick 73. He was a 4-year starter at Kansas State, and he made 48 total starts, mostly at left guard, but he also played some left tackle and right tackle. His best position is going to be on the interior. Like I said, his best was at left guard in college. He's extremely powerful, but he has average length. He's got short arms, and he's just an okay athlete. He had over 1,200 pass pro snaps since 2021. He allowed just 2 sacks and 20 pressures over that time. There's a lot of thought that he will be potentially the center of the future. The Cowboys let Tyler Biadasz walk this offseason, but at worst, he's dead depth guard and lets them be flexible. If they want to move Tyler Guyton to left tackle, keep Tyler Smith at left guard, they can. Cooper Beebe could go to left guard if they want Smith to be tackle. So at worst, he's a very flexible piece that has future starting ability. At best, he could be their starting center on day 1. I also love the general concept of the Steelers offensive line draft. In the first round, pick 20, they get Troy Fautanu from Washington. He has 5 position upside, but he has the length and the athleticism to stick at left guard. He may not be as big as we want, but he did it really well with Washington. During his last 2 years as a starter, he only gave up 2 sacks and 21 pressures against long edge rushers. He looked phenomenal. He had an 88.2 PFF pass blocking grade last season, and initially when he was drafted, it seemed like they may move him into center until they made their second pick, which was Zack Frasier from West Virginia. Frasier is just an absolute ass kicker. He's a 4-year starter at West Virginia. He's a 4-year heavyweight wrestling state champ in high school. He plays with that kind of strength and leverage and demeanor in the run game. He punishes interior defensive linemen, and he very well could be this team's week 1 starter at center. He also famously broke his leg during a play and tried to crawl off the field so the team wouldn't need to burn a timeout. He has the exact mentality that the Pittsburgh Steelers love in the trenches. And finally, another pick they made was Mason McCormack at pick 119. He was at South Dakota State, and it was absolutely dominant at the FCS level. He had an 87.6 PFF grade in 2023. He allowed 0 sacks and 3 pressures. He's going to need time to develop at the NFL level coming from the FCS level, but right guard James Daniels' contract is up after the season, and he could immediately replace him in 2025. So they got another flexible piece, and they continue to upgrade their offensive line, and the Steelers might be one of my favorite lines in football at this point in time. There were plenty of other picks on days 1 and 2, and even into day 3 of the NFL draft. Check out my article with Player Profiler to break down all the day 1 and day 2 picks, and it also looks at some key contributors that could have been had in day 3.